Hello everyone and welcome back to Coffee Chats number 2. We're going to talk about a couple things today. One is writing, rewriting, and 2, I am in a slump right now. So we have a stack of books right here that maybe you in the comments can help me figure out which one I'm going to read next. I have an oat latte, I have my cardigan on. If you're a Swiftie, you know. Let's begin. Okay, so I want to start first with, is writing rewriting? In my last coffee chats, I was talking about how I was feeling very overwhelmed by all of my world building I had done thus far, and I felt like my lore was overwhelming me a bit. So what I've actually decided to do is I am now going back and rereading the 10 chapters I've written so far, and I'm writing down all of my lore into a lore doc. So that way, when I come upon something and I feel stuck or I forgot, I have basically this key to help me. And I actually relate this to the method that Tolkien does. If you watch my most recent video on authors I admire and what I've learned from them, I talked about Tolkien's sort of routine philosophy on how he writes essentially. And he did a lot of rewriting for Lord of the Rings. Whenever he felt he got stuck, he would go back and rewrite and edit in the writing process. And I find that that's actually been very helpful for me as someone writing my first fantasy novel, trying to keep track of everything. So going back and doing this lore doc has been very helpful. And I also think that where I'm at currently, this is a good place to do that, because being about 21,000 words in, I have actually world built a lot of things. So as I'm going back to the first couple chapters, I'm like, wait, this thing changed. This is actually much more established, and I'm very happy about that. So let me rework it to what it actually needs to be. And then I go and put this in my lore doc. This is the actual history event that happened. This is when it took place. These were the people that were involved. This is how a magic thing works. Yeah, so you get what I'm saying. So this has actually been really helpful. So I do think writing is rewriting. Once I get through this process, I will go back and dive into my story, which I'm very excited about. But doing this has made me feel much more confident. I think that if it's your first time world building, do not feel shy or embarrassed or whatever. Like, hi, me over here. This is really my first time world building. I've read a lot of fantasy, but it's very different when it's applied into action. And I think that, you know, do whatever feels best for you to make sure that you feel confident in your writing and gets you going so you can tell the best version of your story possible. So that's my little rant on that. So I am in a reading slump. I think I've had too many 5-star reads at this point. The Priory of the Orange Tree was so good. And then before that, I read Time's Convert, which is part of the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. And I was just hitting so many good highs that I am kind of in like the Netflix mood of like, oh God, I look at my bookshelves and I have so many options. I don't know where to start. Will it satisfy me? But also the Priory of the Orange Tree was very intense and high stakes that I'm like, do I want something more mellow? But then I'm quickly drawn to fantasy again, so I don't know. So we're gonna go over some titles that I have in my pile and we're gonna see what y'all think. Okay, so I have the Modern Fairy Tale series by Holly Black, Tithe, Valiant, and Ironside. I actually read Tithe when it first came out, and I loved it. And then I fell under a rock and didn't realize the series continued and never finished it. So my thought is these, dude, what happened with the print here? I'm so distracted by this. You see this? Why is Valiant's pages like almost white and these are gray? I think, yeah, there's also like a different height thing going on. Okay. As we do get distracted by books when they had different printings and we never understand why. The reason why I have this on the list is, like I said again, I read this in, I think it came out when I was like, here, let's see, what is the publication date? And then I can age myself. Let's do that. Okay, 2002? Yes, that seems about right. So I graduated in 2007, so 18 minus, so I was about 13 when I read this. That makes sense. Yeah, because I remember there being like some sort of like underground sewer and there's fairies, and I was like, I want fairies to exist in the underground sewer. Am I remembering that correctly? I don't know, but either way, I was like, fairies in our world sounds so cool, and I want that to be real. I want that to be a thing. Also, if we look, the text is pretty big, double spaced. I'm pretty sure it's YA. So, I mean, and there's a potential that I could get through all these in December. I am a bit of a slow reader, but I remember it was very fast paced. So maybe that's a good idea and it'll help me get further along in my reading goal. I'm a little behind right now, which is fine, I've accepted. I'm at 20 out of 36, which is 2 more than last year. I would like to at least get like 3 or 4 more by the end of the year, so I feel like I hit at least 5 over my goal of last year. So I feel like if I do the first one, I've got to do the whole series, which in reality, this is like a very small fantasy book compared to what I mostly read. So we have the Modern Fairy Tale series. Next up, we have Sorcery of Thorns. I love Margaret Rogerson. I read An Enchantment of Ravens last year. You can watch my review on it on this channel. I've heard this has like magical dark academia vibes. It's been sitting on my bookshelf for a while. This is about almost 500 pages. It is a wee longer than An Enchantment of Ravens, but I did read that, I think, in a week. So this is a contender. If you've read it, let me know. Okay. So I feel like I'm putting this series off because it's that whole feeling of once you read a series for the first time, you can never read it again for the first time, because that's how things work. And I'm being a little melodramatic because I love SJM so much, and I love The Assassin's Blade. I've been kind of putting off Throne of Glass, but should I just start the series and dive in and stop reading other books to avoid the inevitable, which is that once I read it, I've read it, and the first time experience will never exist again? Let me know if I should just rip off the Band-Aid. So there's that. I have been wanting to read Outlander for a very long time. I watched, I think, the first couple episodes and I was like, oh my God, I need to read the book. My bestie said, just start with the first one. I have been to Scotland. I have visited the Highlands. I love time travel. So should I dive into this? The pages, the word sizing, the numbers and all that, it doesn't intimidate me considering I just read Priory and Orange Tree and I have read Sanderson Stormlight Archives books. So we're at like, how much is this? 600 and something? Yeah, it's like 625, 630 pages. So let me know if I should just dive into this. After having come off a big book, I'm wondering, because like I don't know what the pacing is, but maybe something slow with beautiful writing. If that's what that is, then maybe that's a good idea, because I do feel like I want to slow down a tad. I really inhaled the Priory of the Orange Tree. My review for that is coming soon. So is this like slow, beautiful writing? Let me know. Okay. And then last but not least, we have the lovely Rebecca. Let me say the author's name right. Daphne du Maurier. Oh man, it's French too, and I speak a decent amount of French, and I'm struggling with that. So I picked this up at a local bookstore a couple months ago because Taylor, as we love her, wrote the song Tolerated, which is based off Rebecca. So I really want to read this, watch the movie, and then sort of do a video kind of talking about Taylor's writing skills and her sort of adaptation of this book into a song, and do I feel like it encapsulates all of it, and even if it doesn't, what does it? So sort of kind of analyzing all the writing and adaptations around the book. And the song is so beautiful and so sad that I'm really curious about the story because I love the song so much. So should I do a classic? It's been kind of calling to me. So that's where we're at for coffee chats this week. This week is a little bit slower. I'm in the middle of annotating my friend's book for her Christmas present, like I talked about in the first video. I'm still writing, but I'm doing rewriting. Let me know if you do rewriting, if you have basically like a lore key where you keep track of everything. I feel like maybe every 10 chapters or so, I'll probably do this, and I think it'll be really helpful so I can keep track of everything and feel less overwhelmed. Also, like kind of going back and rereading, I'm like, huh, this is much better than I thought it was. So, you know, I kind of have that feeling sometimes when I film a YouTube video and then I'm like, oh, I don't know if that was good. And then I get in the editing and I'm like, no, this is working, this is flowing. Yeah, I think it's good. So let me know down in the comments if that's something that you do, or maybe what's a tip that you have that helps you keep track of your lore while you're writing your book. So yeah, let me know which book should I read to help me out of my slump. I don't know if I could read all of them. Like I said, I'm not the fastest reader, but who knows, maybe. I don't know. Let me know, guys.